Yeah, what's the main source of the turnaround? If you had to pinpoint on offense and pinpoint on offense and defense, why has the turnaround been there?
I think on offense, it centers around Jordan Travis. I mean, Jordan Travis has been more of a complete quarterback over the course, especially over the last two games. And we talked about last week, and I'm sure Logan and I will talk about this week. I mean, he's throwing the ball. You know, it was one thing how he was an athlete with running the ball. Now he's finally throwing the ball. He's finally completing passes on a consistent basis. And I think he's finally becoming a real well-rounded quarterback. I think that's the reason on offense. And on defense, Logan, you could touch on this one. That front seven's playing like game busters right now. Keir Thomas, Jermaine Johnson, Robert Cooper, the linebacker core. I mean, they're finally playing like they know that Florida State's capable of. And I think that's finally they're playing that turnaround. And you look at two games, and Logan touched on based on this one, I think you could have argued that on paper, there's no way Florida State should have beat Miami and then gone up and beaten Boston College. And that consistently, in that first half, looking amazing against Boston College, and they finally did it. So I think they're finally getting hot at the right time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's funny how Florida and Florida State are on that same kind of parallel storyline with how Todd Grantham was last year, and went the same with Adam Fuller. And then this season still started off kind of odd for Adam Fuller with some of the calls being not so great, not understanding some of the players not understanding where they need to be and such. But now the trend towards Adam Fuller is, well, it looks like he's keeping his job and he'll be here next season. And, you know, Florida State fans were looking at Dan Lanning from Georgia and other guys too. But, you know, Florida State's, like he said, Jordan Travis is doing his thing. He's able to throw the ball. And, you know, I think a lot of fans were also thinking Mackenzie Milton was going to come in and save Florida State and he just light it up, but that just wasn't the case. He's not he might be fully healthy, but he's just not back to what he was against UCF. But Jordan Travis has been great passing, and now it's that pass rush. Florida State was atrocious last year, and Jermaine Johnson came in and he really connected well with Norvell and believed and what they're doing. And, you know, that goes the same with Keir Thomas. I mean, it's crazy where you can have two guys on each side of the ball, you know, tearing it up. But the thing is, you're going to lose them next season, which really stinks. And that's going to hurt FSU. But, you know, I think it's still a process, and you've seen it too down there in Gainesville, a whole transition of a coaching change. It takes a while. It's not going to happen overnight. Every Florida team, every fan base in Florida wants it to be that first season. They're back. They're fighting for ACC, SEC championships. But it just takes a long while just because there's so much talent. Different coaches like different play styles. They like different guys in the locker room. Florida State had to get rid of guys in the locker room. It's worked out fantastic. And so that's only going to continue. I think it's just to believe in what Norvell has and the process there. And
Basically, what's happened here, David, is that Logan has been down on Mike Norvell, never wanted him, didn't think he was doing the job. And Jason has been his biggest cheerleader, saying Mike Norvell's going to turn it around. He's going to get it done.
Don't ever put that on me, Mark. Someone will clip that, and then they'll believe it. Don't ever. It was the other way around.
We are joking. I am joking. Yes.
Oh man.
Hey, one more on that, and I think this is really good for Seminole fans out there, because this is something I think doomed Dan Mullen at his time at Florida early in his career. He was never able to build on beating FSU his first 2 years and beating Miami in 2019 as well. Had those head-to-head wins, but never really translated to recruiting on the in recruiting and being able to basically widen the gap far while FSU and Miami's down, not being able to really widen that gap talent-wise over those two teams. And FSU's recruiting class started this season, really up there in the top 10, competing with some of the nation's best prospects up there. And now already got a win over Miami. Now you have it doesn't matter what's going on at Florida. You still got a chance to get a win over them. What do you guys think? Like, is this a way to keep building upon and maybe even take advantage of head-to-head wins over Florida and Miami?
I'll say this. I'm down here in South Florida. I'm just outside Fort Lauderdale. One of the things I'll give Mullen credit for is that he did recruit South Florida. He came down here. He would get guys from Miami, the Fort Lauderdale, Broward County area, and he did that. But I guess that's what puzzles me a little bit, is that you're getting great guys from South Florida, and they're not being able to turn it around, get over that hump, get them that SEC championship over the last 4 seasons. I think Norvell has been able to so far capitalize the South Florida recruitment. He's getting South Florida guys. He's getting those guys from the Orlando, Tampa area to commit so far. So I think a win over Florida would go a huge way to capitalizing, maybe getting a couple guys we've talked about, Julian Armello, who's from down here in St. Thomas Aquinas, Marvin Jones Jr., a legacy recruit, being able to get some of those guys to come into Florida State. That being said, I also think on the flip side, I think we talked about this a little bit before. Florida State lost the first 4 games of the season, comes back and gets 3 wins, and you're thinking, oh, there's all that good momentum, and then drops 2 games, including a game against NC State, where they really look like they regressed a little bit. Now here's the question. If Florida State can go get that win over Florida, you can finish that turnaround. You're 6-6. You're going to a bowl game, and things are looking great. If Florida does come out here, and Florida comes out and gets a win, knocks Florida State down to 5-7, yes, it's a great turnaround from 0-4 to 5-7. But there's also that disappointment factor. So that's why I think this game right now is more important for Florida State than Florida, because Florida right now you've gotten rid of Mullen. You've said, all right, we're kind of taking a knee on this season, win or lose, whether we go to a bowl game at 6-6 or we lose to 5-7. If Florida State can win here, this would go a huge step in that state championship. But a loss here, I think, could dramatically affect recruiting for the most part.
Yeah, Armello will be in attendance in Gainesville for this matchup, and I think Florida State has a really good kind of almost a lead there with Armello. Definitely after the Miami win, there's that, but I mean LSU getting first off, it was LSU. I mean, that's what Armello's wanted all before is LSU, and now moving on from Coach O and that whole change happening there. Florida up in a raid there with what they want to do on the offensive line, coaching gig. You know, it just kind of allows for Florida State. Alabama seems to be moving on from Armello just because they just have everything that they want. So that's just how Alabama works. But, you know, just in different races, you know, Marvin Jones Jr., that's huge, gigantic for FSU. Like we talked about earlier, you're losing Jermaine Johnson and Keir Thomas, your 2 big-time defensive players overall on that defense. And, you know, Marvin Jones Jr. can come in and play right away. But just a win for both teams is gigantic. And recruiting-wise, Florida State has some wild momentum, and Norvell did this on an offseason where they went 3-6. It was a COVID year, so it's hard to count anything. But still to have that kind of impressive fight during the offseason and still stay pretty stable while starting off 0-4 is something significant. And then if you're able to take down Florida, then you take that state title away too, and that only helps in recruiting presentations whenever you go visit families and they come visit you. So
can I just say one thing? We got Thanksgiving coming up in a couple days. Can I just say that I'm thankful that we are being able to talk about a Florida State-Florida game again after last year. After last year, it didn't happen. Florida plays an SEC-only schedule. Florida State, we're just going to act like last season didn't happen. It's so good that we are being able to talk about what I think is arguably one of the best rivalries in all of college football. Again, records be damned. Yes, it's not number 1 versus number 2 like in '96. It's not like a Sugar Bowl that happened that season that we also won't talk about the outcome of that game. It's not like any of these other great games, but it's a game that is going to matter just as much. There's going to be garnet and gold, orange and blue screaming on Saturday inside the swamp. So it's finally good that we've got this game back again.
Florida fans were upset they didn't get it last year with how that offense was rolling and the struggle.
It's fine. You didn't want any of us. It's fine.
Yeah.
Jason wants to forget last season, but at the same time, he's printing 3-6 Mafia.
It was a 3-6 Mafia last season, but according to both Mark and Logan, they've told me that last year didn't happen. That I shouldn't hold that against Mike Norvell for what happened.
That's an accurate statement.
Yeah. So, I'm gonna go
but you want Willie back, right? He's doing great at FAU. There's a chance you could see him in the bowl game. They just got to win. They got to beat Middle Tennessee.
He has
that'd be something.
Western Kentucky is who they play. 7:00 FAU Stadium. But I'm going to go back to the coaching.
You know that schedule real well.
I do. I know everyone's schedule. That's what I do.